What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Six Pack Abs. I'm Coach Johnny Catanzano.
And I'm Coach Garrett.
And today we've got a really special guest. We've got CJ McFarland, Head of Strength and Conditioning from On It Academy. Today we've got a really interesting video. It's a huge debate. This is like the master, the monster, the biggest debate that I've seen in lifting in a long time. People arguing, people yelling at each other. Just, what's it gonna be? Is it the sumo deadlift or is it the conventional deadlift, and why? CJ's gonna help break this down for us.
Well, we all know sumo's cheating, right? That's a big joke with everything, right? So first of all, they're two separate lifts, right? So if you're naturally a conventional, which means you're most likely going to be deadlifting like this if you're a conventional lifter, right? You're like this. Sumo, you're going to be out here, hips back, reaching down for the bar like that, right? So a lot of people say sumo's cheating. It's really hard to do. It's really hard to do. A lot of it depends on limb length if you have never trained it. However, if you start to train it, it will become a little more comfortable. As you increase the mobility, you can get into those ranges of motion, right? So breaking down the sumo deadlift, taking off my shoes first because I do have a heel lift on these.
That's important what he said. He said, see, he took his shoes off to keep his heels in the ground. If you're wearing Air Maxes or shoes that are going to elevate the heel too much, you will shift the weight forward and you will increase stress in your lower lumbar spine. So it can be important what shoes you are wearing, guys.
So right here, I usually go, there's a little line right there where the knurling, that rough part of the bar kind of breaks, right? So right there.
Okay.
Externally rotated, my toes are pointing out.
Okay.
From right here, this bar is still about halfway in the foot.
Okay.
I'm gonna shift my butt back, reach down, and I'm looking for almost a vertical shin angle.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
This is going to help.
So what that means is from the side, your shins are nice and vertical to the ground, correct?
Right.
Okay.
Right? So vertical right there, chest tall. I almost want my shoulders right above my heads.
Okay.
Right?
Right over the bar.
What happens a lot of times is people attempt a sumo deadlift like this. And what'll happen is they'll come, that bar is out in front of the body.
That's extra movement.
That's extra movement.
Your lower back is in
A
jeopardy.
lot of pain on that lower back.
Okay.
Right? You're shifting that butt back, chest up.
Stand up. Back down.
Yep.
So what about something that people, you see a common do not, as far as knees pronating in a little bit too much?
Right.
What would you suggest to someone where you're starting to see a lot of people going too wide with pronated knees?
Yeah, you want to push those knees out.
Push the knees out. Y'all hear that? Knees out. No pronated knees. You're putting too much stress in the interior of the knee.
CJ, would a good cue for that be imagining that you're actually spreading the floor with your feet as you lift?
That is a cue that we use. It's not necessarily the best to fix that.
Okay. Okay.
So, I mean, really, to fix that, I'm just telling him open up the hips. We all know knees are pointed here, up,
Okay.
right? And a lot of times it's the foot position.
Okay.
So some guys may be here and they'll set up, toes pointed forward. Now,
They're already inside.
They're already pronated,
I can't push them out.
Okay.
Right.
Open up, externally rotate those feet.
So the setup is crucially important. To make
Setup
sure
is
it's
important.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So those are the big cues for the sumo. You're going to be outside shoulder width,
Yep.
feet slightly ducked out. You want to use the lines that are here in the knurling on the bar to line up, make sure you're even, your shins are
Right.
even. You want to look down and make sure the bar is about halfway up your foot and your feet are even too, right?
Right, correct.
Okay.
That's right.
Let's talk about the conventional now.
Conventional deadlift. I did this back in the day. So right here, still, bar in the middle of the foot. All we're gonna do is we're shifting, so we're doing a hinge. So slight bend in the knee, butt back. From right here, you're grabbing down. Notice my knees are now a little bit over my toes.
Okay.
So that's the big difference is sumo, shins vertical, conventional, shins a little forward.
Shins a little
Right?
angles. Okay.
So if you have tight ankles, which half of the world does,
Yes.
conventional deadlift is going to be hard for you
it's going to be hard.
because you're so tight that your first move is going to want to be here.
I got you.
So now that bar is away from my
away.
shins,
And where's the tension?
all on the lower back,
Yep.
right? So unless you can kind of pry yourself into this, let it grind the shins, hips through,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
There's a reason why all of us powerlifters, you go to a powerlifting meet, everyone's bloody on the shins.
Right.
That conventional deadlifts.
Right.
That bar is grinding.
Okay.
Right?
You're kind of supposed to.
Right.
Essentially.
You want to keep that bar close to the body.
Okay.
Anytime it goes out, you're at risk of injury.
Okay. Very nice.
Yeah, and it's a great point, right? He says ankle mobility, tight calves, tight hip flexors, adductors. Guys, if you lose your mobility and think you're gonna get underneath these lifts and perform them correctly, you got another thing coming. I know it's tedious. I know no one does not like to stretch, but if you do not stretch when you do compound movements like this, long-term will result in an injury. So do the boring stuff. I know it's tedious, but you will be a lot more comfortable on the bottom of the lift. Therefore, you will execute it.
All right. Now, to settle the debate, the meat and potatoes. Which one is better? Which one's better, and why should somebody do one or the other? Or should they be doing both?
You should be doing both.
Yes.
100%.
100%.
That's super simple to answer. Should be doing both.
Yeah.
I compete in a sumo deadlift.
So he's a powerlifter with a world record.
Yep. A national record deadlift, world record bench. I don't
Okay.
want to take anything from the world record deadlift. All right. But I compete in a sumo stance.
Okay.
That's what works for me. That's
Okay.
my joint angles.
Mhm.
What I've been able to build is that sumo stance.
Okay.
However, my conventional work, or my accessory work, will be conventional.
Okay.
So if I squat, typically what I'll do for my next movement is going to be a deadlift,
Mhm.
and it's conventional.
Okay.
And then on my deadlift day, that's when I'll go sumo.
Okay. So you do both because doing the one you're not as comfortable with will help improve your performance.
Not to
on the
mention
one.
targeting different muscle groups as well, right?
Right, that's correct.
Okay, great. So the answer is, guys, you should be doing both of them. Neither one is superior per se.
Right.
Neither one is easy. And literally, and we were talking about this earlier on the podcast, which if you haven't checked it out, go ahead and check our podcast out. The bar path, the actual mount, this bar travels is nearly identical in both lifts, maybe like
Right.
an inch, quarter inch difference, right?
It's
So
very small.
you're putting out the same effort. It's just slightly different geometry, slightly different lift, but in the long run, you should be doing both.
Awesome.
That's it?
Yep.
All right, well, I'll wrap it up. All right, guys, now we settled the debate. You should be doing both. CJ, I got to thank you for coming through, man.
Absolutely,
Teaching
man.
us a little bit. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
You guys at home, if you're trying to do some conventional or sumo deadlifting, listen to this guy. He knows what he's doing. He's got the background. He trains in that specific sport. He knows what he's talking about. So we appreciate you guys. If you have any comments on what we talked about today, make sure and put those below. Turn your notifications on. That way you'll be notified anytime we put out some new content. Give us a subscribe, like us, share us, all that. Meat and potatoes. I'm Coach Johnny
I'm Coach Garrett.
with Six Pack Abs. CJ McFarland from On It. Thank you guys, and we'll see you soon.
Boom.